Tenno, do you want to learn about one of the best, not one of the strongest warframes that you'll see today? It's a melee warframe, known by many as the Red Crit monster, Kullervo. Kullervo is one of my favorite, if not the strongest warframes I have in my arsenal. And if you can see here, he's
Operator,
also
do you know which finger the corpus used to count their money? The index.
nice timing orders. He's also my second, I really do mean this, my second most used warframe of any of the groups I have here. So, what makes my Kullervo tick? Well, first and foremost, in order for you to get Kullervo,
Shadow up.
in order for you to get Kullervo, you're gonna have to go into here, the Devere experience. However, when you're doing the Devere experience, you're gonna have to go when this changes the daily cycle. Sorrow, fear, anger. The three main negative emotions where Kullervo will be inside his miniature jail cell, and you have to fight him while also completing the very experience. Usually takes you around 20 minutes, however, if you do this in a group, it's going to be a lot easier on you because 90% of the time, you're going to see some random person saying, hey, I want to fight Kullervo. And a lot of times they're going to do that without your permission. I really do mean that. It's a pain in the ass, but it actually does work. Now, going down here, show you the build that I have for Kullervo, and I'll tell you why I do A, B, and C for him. First and foremost, these here are called Archon Shards. The Azure Archon Shards and the Amber Archon Shards, or blue and yellow for that, for if you don't feel like being fancy. First things first, I gave him 1, 2, 3 slaps of armor. Reason being is because um, armor is basically your form of absorption when you're using Kullervo on a regular basis. The other part is this, so right, when it comes to the effectiveness of energy orbs so that you can keep getting energy upon energy, this is basically your version of an arcane energize. Also this year, I gave him some energy just once he comes out and you're ready to do do damage. Now his abilities. I removed his fourth ability because I personally don't like it. I use Thorough Strike, which basically is an easy way of saying, hey, let me give you your armor when you're in front of my face. That's it. Collective Curse. What that basically means is that, though, you're going to see a bunch of enemies that are just tangled all together. Any damage you do to one is done to everybody else in front of you. Recompense. You send these knives out, and anybody that stabs gives you overguard. However, if you miss any enemies, those knives will step back at you and do damage. And the signature ability, Rifle Advance. Once you go into an enemy and just do a heavy attack, that heavy attack turns into orange crits, yellow crits, red crits, all depends on your melee critical chance. And as you can see here, that 500% does a lot. Going into the build itself, corrosive projection for the armor strip. Arrow advantage because he is a melee warframe, so sometimes you're not going to really be using guns. If you're in places like Jupiter, you can use this to fly around. Umbral Intensify and Vitality for the extra health, along with the ability Strength. Again, you can see that his health is at 2,000 something, his armor is at 1,300. And Overguard acts as HP, so the higher your armor, the less damage you take. Prime Continuity for more duration, Augur Secrets and Augur Message, Prime Flow for the energy, Blind Rage for the ability Strength, and Adaptation. Yes, if you notice that a lot of my builds have negative efficiency, but at the same time, they still do work. Reason being is because the majority of the time, I'm mostly using his recompense, Thorough Strike, and Wrathful Advance. And I'm going to show off my Okina Prime one more time. And I'm going to do this mission here in Lua, just as a bit of a practice. Better yet, What do I want to do? They're gonna die too fast if I do it if I do this differently. So I'm gonna do this solo. And I usually don't really encourage solo play when it comes to these builds, but whatever. This is just to show how this shit really works. All right, let's begin.
Accept your death, and you may yet avoid
Recompense, as you can see, is giving me more overguard on the top right.
The Kullervo sentry is attempting to purge you from this place. Stand by for life support.
Come on, open the door. There we go. Now let's get this shit started, shall we? If you're using Wrathful Advance, it counts as a heavy attack. So if you are using the Incarnon, it still works. If his overguard goes down, you can always recharge it. And as you can see, everybody continues to get frozen with the Okino Prime while I'm just laying waste to everything in sight. And if your Wrathful Advance runs out, stab again. That was 47 million.
If you have a necromancer, this would be an excellent place to deploy it.
If you're noticing the red crits with exclamation points, that means that is the maximum amount of damage you can do when it comes to your doing crits. You have 3 different tiers of critting. You have yellow for, you know, I want to say base, then orange for big, then red for, I would say, super crits. And because of the recent update, the orange crits, any enemy that's frozen will also increase your critical chance along with your critical damage. Or in other words, cold means crit. Huh, I know that was a challenge for me today. So yeah, you can just literally lay waste this entire time. And if you're noticing as to how fast I'm killing everything,
decided you were bad for business.
yeah, he did. So I hear you guys. Well, I know where you are. There you are. As you can see, they're dead. Well, most of them. Basically, with the Okino Prime is acting both as a shield, but also as a, I want to say, both a primer and a damage dealer. So eventually, what we're going to see is yet another one of those acolytes. And acolytes only appear in Steel Path. Acolytes drops both Steel Essence along with primary and secondary arcanes you can use for weapons. Mostly primary and secondary Merciless or Deadhead. If you don't feel like, you know, farming for them, they're really cheap. I know, what, 30, 40 platinum each? Yeah, we have Mania. And he's dead.
Those oculists are scanning for targets.
If you have the right build for your melee weapon, along with Kullervo, you can one-shot practically any acolyte that you see.
The sentient is onto you.
For the
Look
time
out for
being,
triggers.
because Mania was somewhat, damaged, I'm going to try and see if I can wait for another one of those to spawn, and then really show you, what it's like to kill him at full health. Because he was partially damaged from my my Okina bicycles. If you're noticing too, by the way, I have not really been losing that much life support this entire time.
The longer you hold out, the deeper I can search. But if you need to leave, extraction is ready. Void manifestations
give it to him.
drawn to this cursed place of stolen lives. They will drain your life support unless they are destroyed.
Let's go with this other Thrax up here who doesn't know how to get down. There we go. Oh, I should also mention this as well too. Overguard basically makes you borderline immune to most status, status, I want to say, triggers. Like you're immune to toxin, you're immune to radiation, you name it. And again, as you can see, my overguard is not really decreasing as fast unless I'm with some enemies a little bit too strong. And if you're also noticing that I did not use a specific, I want to say, school. When I mean by school, I mean that you have two main schools that I use to death, which are Madurai and Naraman. Madurai is mostly for your amp, and also certain certain drifter abilities. Naraman focuses on your melee damage and melee, attacks in general, but also Naraman also increases the amount of focus you earn for the other schools. So I'm a little bit worried that I might lose a little bit too much life support, so I'm going to use this right here. Let's just keep slashing at the storm. Raffle advance. Oh, look at that. Hopefully we can actually see another so-called acolyte and see if we can actually just kill him in one shot. Raffle advance again. Hopefully another acolyte is going to pop up in the next, I should say, 1-2 minutes. But yeah, Kullervo is somewhat, I would say, a solo warframe. Especially when you're trying to do missions like this, we can do missions for what do you call it? The relics. Come on, eventually he's gonna pop up soon. Oh, for those who are questioning as to why my energy hasn't fully decreased, well, I'm only using, just a few of his skills at a time. And the duration that I have, along with the strength that I have, is keeping me going. Are we going to have another acolyte pop up? Ain't at all. There it is. What do we have today? Torment! If I can find him. Oh, I missed. Hold on. There we go. Perfect, ain't it? Alright, let me get my ass out of here. So yeah, that concludes this lesson. If I can find out where the damn exit is. Come on, get up, get up, get up, get up. There you go.
Don't worry. I'll take very good care of Varuna. I have just the spot in the kennel for her.
The queens have sought out warframes before. Vor sought
As you
resentment
conquer
of
the
yours.
foe,
We
so
cannot let the
you
worm
conquer
have full
yourself.
reign. Hiding Rilla in the void risked the unfathomable. I fear we are seeing the consequences of that risk now. Destroy these void-stained enemies.
Well, I had to leave him behind for this lesson, so sorry. Now, going over what I had done, right? You can see I did 782 kills just by myself. And as you can also see, apparently my melees can also do headshots. Yep, melees can do headshots. It all depends on how you angle your hits.
Because you're a friend, I'm going to offer you something.
Excuse me. Now, let's go over the lesson real quickly as to, why I also use, Moderite. Mostly because a lot of times I'm going to go down and it also boosts my amp up so that in case shit hits the fan, I can get myself back up, especially when I'm by myself. As long as I have 3 kills, I'm good. And the reason why I say this is because of a certain ability that I use called Last Gasp. And I did a video on this a while back. You can look at that, in my, video listing. But Moderite, as I mentioned, is mostly for your amp. You can look at these abilities for yourself, but in order for you to boost this, you have to gain focus per day. And as I mentioned before, again, you have Last Gaps that's right here. Reviving your Warframe by transferring the operator and killing 3 enemies. Once you fully upgraded before 15 seconds elapse, and the revive meter begins to drain. What I want to say now. Naruman is one when it comes to melee. Right here, you have the melee combo counter now decays while out of combat by 5 every few seconds instead of depleting completely. When you also have duration on your melee weapons, this also helps out as well too, increasing that same duration.
Ordis has been counting stars, operator. All accounted for.
Who counts stars? Anyway. The easiest way for you to get your focus up are 2 different ways. One, go into the circus, pick a school, and you're basically going to upgrade it every so often while you're inside there, constantly killing Thrax enemies on a regular basis. Or just killing enemies in general. 2, Idle hunting, which is a very, very,
Saddle up.
very dead, I want to say gameplay event. The only time people ever do idle hunting is for the weekly night wave. Or 3, as I mentioned before, you can go to circuit, or if you see anything that's in these things that are in yellow, you'll automatically get 5,000 for whatever focus school you already have, and that will increase. The other part too that I had were Archon shards. These Archon shards can be found when you're doing 3 different things. Right here, when you're doing the Boreal's Archon hunt, as you can see, I haven't done this in a while, so you have like a 20% chance for this to be turning into a Tile Force shard, and every time you miss out on that, 3 weeks later, it's going to go to 40, then to 60, then to 80, then eventually 100. The other 2 ways, you go down here, the Sanctum Anatomica, and what you do here is that you run 2 different things. You go to tag for her, our cute little pet down here.
Yo,
You do net
how
yourselves.
long someone has to live to get his hands on
If
this
you suck,
much stuff?
do not do this by
I
yourself.
don't know. Too long, that's for sure.
Do not do this by yourself if you suck. Because if you do, I'll laugh at you.
Come on. Who am I gonna ask? Bird?
It's the first time I've ever heard that line before. Then, you also talk to Necroloid.
These several experiments are threatened by the murmur as they near completion. We shall protect Master Entrati's good works via a 3-phase response. Prepare well. Before the foe is laid low, we shall not return.
What happens is this. If you can unlock Elite Archimedia, once you do the first normal version of Deep Archimedia, you will have a chance to get these rewards on this tier. You can get Archon Shards, an extra Tau Forge Archon Shard, you get another Tau Forge Archon Shard, or a certain kind of melee arcane, and Volspur. Now, for me, usually this takes me about 30 to 45 minutes, depending on the three listed missions here. Go in a group, try your best, see what happens. And last but not least, there's a tier when it comes to getting certain kinds of mods, especially the Umbral or the Prime mods. Or better yet, you get the Umbral mods once you get Umbral Excalibur Umber. Then, when you're going for the Prime mods, you get the Prime mods from Valkatir or other players. If you somehow sell the Umbral mods, you have to go to Cephalon Samaris, and then you're going to have to get standing for him in order to buy those Umbral mods back. Again, if you sell those, I get to laugh at you. But that's it when it comes to Kullervo. If there are any warframes that you wish for me to show off, let me know in the comments below. I hope you learned a valuable lesson. Nere Tana.